Hey, what's up guys? We're back again with a new meta free-to-play strategy. This deck has been dominating grand challenges and it works against the best players in the world. And it's such a spicy strategy. No one expects Hog Rider and Royal Giant in the same deck. So when you bait out your opponent's building with counter-pushing Barbarians or a Hog Rider, your opponent will have nothing for your Royal Giant at the river. And when they scramble to quickly defend with bait cards, they'll get quickly cleaned up by your Firecracker, Snowball, and Log. Going in for a Royal Giant in the middle and a Hog Rider spammed at your opponent ensures that you take a tower faster than any other deck. This evil deck is one of the easiest decks to upgrade in Clash Royale 2. All rare and common cards besides the Log, and the Log's level doesn't even matter. Let's ride our way up to the top of Grand Challenge, get a 12 win, and assert dominance. Lots of love to everyone that's using creator code SirTag to make all the high effort videos possible. We got a game against a new Horizon, and we've got one of the newest and freshest decks in the game. I don't think anyone's prepared for this. I'm gonna Royal Giant on the right hand side because he just dropped his high damage Archer Queen. I wonder if he's able to stop this Royal Giant. He's gonna go in for a Bandit and Minions. We can kill the Minions, and then we can go in for a Conniving Goblin Gang to stop the Bandit from dashing onto my Firecracker. So right when he clicks his ability, I'm going to go in for a Giant Snowball to propel that thing back, and I'm going to get a little bit more time to replenish my Elixir to get Bats in cycle to finish off the Queen. So for 4 Elixir, I countered 6 Elixir, and I did 1,100 damage in the right-hand lane. As you guys can see, this deck is very destructive, and it's got great defensive capabilities. He's wondering what the heck is happening. He's like, why do you have Snowball and Log? And that's also another good thing about the deck. It's the surprise factor of double win conditions, and then the surprise factor of having double small spells. It's not a deck that people know because they've never played against it before. They're going to make a lot of misplays and give you positive Elixir trades. I guarantee you, if he identified my deck, he wouldn't have went in for a Goblin Gang at the very start and just dropped it right into a Log. He also wouldn't have went in for a Giant right into the barbs. This guy is constantly surprised, you know? It's fitting for the new Horizon to be surprised by the new Horizon deck. It's so awesome. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff counter-pushing left. I expect him to expect us to go and drop things there, so I'm going to go for Hog Rider on the other side and counter-push in that lane. That's a very underrated play. Dropping the Hog Rider, wow, I said Hug Rider. The Hog Rider, he's hugging towers, he's so nice. The Hog Rider on the other side where you're not already having counter-pushing units because your opponent will make predictions expecting you to drop units on that side, and then you just take their tower with the Hog Rider. And then they have to defend both lanes. Really depends on what their deck is. Like if they've got Royal Recruits, don't do that because they've got built-in defense on both sides. But if they don't, then obviously do that and force out a lot of Elixir. Like for Golem decks, very annoying because they have all these high-cost cards and then they can only scramble together to defend one lane. And then they're just like, what the heck do I do? Because I can't defend both sides. All right, we're going to go for a Hog Rider on the right-hand side. I'm going to go in for, I don't think I want to protect the Firecracker here. I think it's better for me to just conserve my Elixir because he's getting an Archer Queen at me. There's a lot of Elixir coming at me. All right, we're going to go in for Barbarians early, and then we're going to go in for Goblin Gang just to stop the Bandit. And hopefully some of the Spear Goblins can hopefully waddle on the left-hand side and protect us. Let's go! Exactly as we wanted. That's what I needed, baby. All right, we can go for a Snowball, a Log maybe, or Barbarians. Yeah, I'm really happy I didn't just drop my Log immediately. It's extremely important to identify your card cycle and what you can drop. If I dropped the wrong thing, I might have lost the game right there. Oh my gosh, wait. Are the Barbs going to take the tower on the left? I think so. You know what I can do? I can go for a Log and take both towers potentially. Because we're able to pull back the Minions, and then if the Minions don't lock onto my tower, we can afford a Firecracker in time to finish off the rest of his stuff. No! Don't take a tower here! We might even 3-crown you. What a wacky and wild adventure. I want to take a second tower. I want to take the other crown. The Firecracker's piercing through the Archer Queen. The Archer Queen is on my team now. It's helping me out. Dude! You had to lightning my Hog Rider so I wouldn't get more Pastoral crowns. Wow. I am astonished, appalled, and disgusted by your behavior. But I guess that's what our deck does to people. It makes them supremely salty. So they probably won't let you take more crowns after you've won the game. But we'll bounce on the next one and collect more crowns there. We got a game against someone from the Exile Dragon clan. Seems pretty fierce. Oh, come on, dude. Don't do that to me. Wallbreaker split at the start is so obnoxious. If I didn't have my Bats or Goblin Gang in cycle, I would take a tremendous amount of damage, or I would be doing a negative Elixir trade. I wonder, I can just ignore the Goblins. Those don't really matter unless you drop a Miner with it. Why is he splitting up every single one of his cards? Never can they be together. They must always be separate. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go for a Snowball to finish off that one Archer. I think that's fine to accumulate our damage on one side. We're going to go for a Goblin Gang and try to prevent his Miner. Ooh. I'm going to go Hog Rider to stop his Archer from locking onto our tower. And he uses Log Bomb Tower. Okay, cool. I'm so psyched to show you guys the power of Royal Giant when our opponent doesn't have a building in cycle. We just have to like wait a split second, watch the building decay, and then watch as our opponent ramps up his dismay. Because we go in for the Royal Giant, we go in for Bats, and then he has to go Goblins, I presume, and we can log those. There's no way. Yep, as predicted, we knew exactly what his card cycle was, and we took full advantage. Unfortunately, we didn't capture the little goblin off on the left, but it's okay. He's going to go in for a Mighty Miner. We could go for a Goblin Gang in the middle and split it up. I think that's going to be our best bet. Oh, no. Maybe we can go for Barbarians if I can afford it in time, please. Spear Goblin on the left is going to give us some nice damage, and we are able to munch on top of that Mighty Miner. So, ideally, the Barbarians bait out the Bomb Tower, or our Hog Rider baits out the Bomb Tower. And this is like the top ladder deck that every professional player is playing, and we're playing against it right now. Love the fact that our deck counters it. We go Hog Rider, we bait out the Bomb Tower, 4-for-4 trade. We don't want to go Royal Giant because that's a negative trade. Also, Royal Giant has the capability of doing more damage to the tower. So when we get the building out of the way, that's where we really leverage our push and we pulverize our opponents. Again, no building in cycle. So what is he going to do? He's going to go and try to spam me so then he has a good card cycle to be able to deal with us. Unfortunately, I have to log this. I did drop 4 elixir. He dropped 5 with the miner and the wall breaker, so it's obviously a positive elixir trade for us. He's 2 cards away from his bomb tower right now because he just dropped 2 cards. It's going to be 4 cards to get back. He's going to log on top of a Goblin Gang, I guess, to predict it. And the Royal Giant still hammers through. That's why I love this deck. The dude went Mighty Miner, and he popped through with every bit of elixir that he had, and it still wasn't enough. Oh my goodness. Jeez, he even dropped a log there too. Just considering like Mighty Miner and log, still wasn't enough to stop a Royal Giant shot. I feel like Royal Giant just gets damage when it shouldn't. We're gonna go in for, I think we'll just eat the damage and we'll just win the game with this push. I think it's better to do that. It's not gonna take out my tower, and we can guarantee that we win this game. With 17 seconds remaining, let's just put the nail in the coffin, get those bats in the tower, and take this man down. That's how I like to play. I don't like wasting any time out here. We can go for a Goblin Gang, and then that should be able to kill the rest of his wall breakers. I don't think he gets a single hit through that. Please? Come on, man. Why are you doing this to me? You're making the game go a little bit longer. So sometimes I like just winning really fast. I think we will end up leaving this man in the blast, but he's going to make the game go slightly longer as we spell him out. Or maybe the Royal Giant will pack a punch. Yo, let's go. I'm glad we didn't have to spell you out 3 more times. Thank you, Royal Giant, for saving us a bit of time. We got another one here. So first things first, we're just going to drop a log on the tower and figure out what he's up to. Don't want to be too aggressive right now because we don't know if this guy is going to be running a very defensive deck. Don't want to give him too much elixir. Ooh, Mega Minion. Maybe it's going to be a Golem deck. Maybe it's going to be a beatdown deck. Generally, Mega Minion is paired with either Graveyard or maybe a Golem deck, if I had to guess. But we see logs, so a little bit uncomfortable right now. I like figuring out what my opponent's decks are, but I have no clue what this guy's going to do. Okay, he's going to go in for a Prince. So Prince Mega Minion feels like double Prince for me. So I'm just going to go for bats and see if he arrows this. A lot of times they will. We can also go for a Hog Rider so it takes the shot from the Prince. So then we can go and counter the Prince with the bats and then maybe force out some extra elixir. I didn't want to go for Barbarians because a lot of times people that end up having this type of deck will have a Giant or a Goblin Giant. So if I go in for my Barbs, then I would lose my Goblin Gang or everything else to his arrows or his small spells that he definitely has in the deck. Okay, cool. So he's going to go in for a Mini P.E.K.K.A. Mini P.E.K.K.A. plus Prince. I would like to say, like, after seeing Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Giant, it would be Giant Graveyard. But after figuring out that he's got Prince, I just think it's a weird deck that I can't really place a finger on. So he's going to go in for a Mega Minion as well. I can Firecracker on the other side. Yeah, that's the issue. When you know that your opponent's going to have Fireball, you kind of need to get a lot of value with the initial Barbs and then cycle back to another one, or just apply so much aggression in the other side that your opponent can't go in for a Fireball on the Barbarians and get a cost-effective trade. So for instance, if I go for a Hog Rider and he has to go for a Prince, a lot of times after already going for the Giant and a Prince, you just don't have enough elixir to go in for that Fireball. That's what we're hoping to have happen, at least in single elixir here. So we also saw Zap and Log and Fireball, so he's going to have a spell for each one of my bait cards, it seems. All right, maybe the Firecracker can give us a lot of value because we haven't seen arrows. He would have to go in for a Zap and a Log, which would cost 4 elixir, and then he also wouldn't have Log for the Goblin Gang. So I really want to force out his small spells utilizing our Firecracker. And heck, if he Fireballs on the Firecracker, well, then he has nothing for the Barbarians. And we're trying to drop our Firecracker early and egg on our opponent and be like, yo, do something to it, please. Okay, he doesn't. He doesn't care. He genuinely just does not care. So now we're going to go in for bats, and we're going to try to, pull back the Mini P.E.K.K.A. as much as we possibly can, then go for our Goblin Gang off to the side. And notice how we are able to potentially finish this off. I do want to go in for Barbarians because it will be able to blast back the Prince, and he doesn't have much elixir. He just went for his Archer Queen. He has nothing left. He is as dry as a desert, and hopefully we can make just desserts of his units. Oh my goodness. Please hold the door. 24 seconds remaining, 20 seconds. All right, he's going to go for the Archer Queen ability. We probably want to knock this back with the Giant Snowball so it gets less damage. And then All right, so I talked to one of my pro player friends. He told me go Hog Rider at the river and then go for Royal Giant right as the Hog Rider is about to cross. So then the Royal Giant is tanking for the Hog Rider so you can get some extra damage. And a lot of times the Royal Giant will go and snipe buildings so then the Hog Rider can get extra value. You don't go Royal Giant plus Hog Rider in the pocket. You drop your Hog Rider at the river as I showed, and that's the most effective trade. That's the best way to play this deck when you already have a tower down. And when you have 2 win conditions rushing at your opponent and you immediately blast their building, the Hog Rider often will secure you the game every time. But if you drop your Hog Rider in the middle, what happens is they can pull it to the King Tower with a building directly near their King Tower. You don't want that to happen ever. If you drop the Hog Rider at the river like all the pros do, you'll never get the Hog Rider pulled to the King Tower. Let's see if we can snag our 11th win. He gave us a little bit of love. We're going to go for a Hog Rider, and I'm going to Firecracker depending on what he does. So archers, I guess we can connect to those with our Firecracker, but I'm going to wait for them to be in vicinity. I don't want to drop it too soon. Okay, please, Firecracker, snap on top of those archers. Let's go. Look at that damage. And I can go Goblin Gang here too to keep the Firecracker alive. Dude, he's literally going to graveyard. That's insane value. Such a good start for me. The bats are about to compromise every single one of those skeletons and make sure he only gets 1 single skeleton hit for 5 elixir. Ridiculous value for me. Also, no arrows in cycle. Maybe I go for a snowball to slow down the tower. Can I hit the Ice Spirit too? Oh, the bat's locked and loaded on the tower. Bury the bat, hitting some nice damage out here. I love this deck. What do we do? Do we go in for aggressive Firecracker after we Royal Giant? Because the bomb tower's out of cycle, he's going to have to go for Knight and maybe Archers. The Firecracker will give us a lot of value. Should be able to pierce through the Knight, hit the Archers, or hit Goblins depending on what he does. Let's just Royal Giant because we know that he can't really apply aggression in single elixir since we've got Goblin Gang and Bats. Wait, why is he dropping it there of all places? Oh my goodness, look at the value. The log is about to kill the Archers. So even though he was really fast to eliminate the Firecracker, it didn't matter because all we needed was a little bit of damage. Just one little measly hit. So then we could go for the log to finish off the Archers. And that's why I think that Firecracker is always better than arrows, or, you know, sometimes if you have a Fireball and you're playing against Royal Hogs are still a threat because the Royal Hogs or the Firecracker in this situation will still give you value before you eliminate it. So it's a problem, right? It's a serious problem for this guy that the Firecracker is always going to give us a shot before he is able to arrows it. So, what happens here? I guess we go in for a Goblin Gang and just play pretty aggressive, get the Spear Goblins on the tower, maybe go in for a Royal Giant to kite the Phoenix to the other side. I could also go Barbarians to block it. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to go for Barbarians on defense. I think that should be more than enough. Maybe I'm completely incorrect, but I think that Barbs are just going to shut down everything. Is he going to eat an entire Royal Giant? No way did that just happen. He's going in hot. He is dropping everything that he has, and he doesn't care about the RG. Look at the RG melting the other tower and putting it in a 900 HP. That's insane. Now we can go in the other side of him. So now he has to work on the side that doesn't matter for us, and we just keep going RGs. This is hilarious. I'm going to go Barbs to stop the Knight from crossing the river, and we can keep the Spear Goblin alive as well. Dude, if that Spear Goblin locks onto the tower, that would be catastrophic for my man. I'm able to go in for a snowball here just to slow down the tower. I think the Archer dies anyway. He has the arrows on a single Spear Goblin because that Spear Goblin was doing so much. Now we're going to go and bait out his bomb tower, and then we immediately go in for another rambunctious Royal Giant on the right-hand side. You guys see how aggressive this deck is? When your opponent doesn't have the right card cycle, they're forced to go on offense, but then they can't defend. So he's going to have to freeze. Oh, he doesn't even care about freezing. I was going to say, he's going to freeze on the Royal Giant. The Goblin Gang would counter all of the skeletons from the graveyard, and we would walk away with a very dominant W. He even says, well played there. Honestly, I think the deck carried me. If you only have one building and nothing else to counter my win conditions, 2 win conditions ensures victory every time. We'll just bait out the building with the Hog Rider, and when the Royal Giant has free reign without a building, there's going to be a lot of pain. So this guy went in for a Goblin Barrel immediately. We were able to Giant Snowball it, and he Inferno Towered on my Hog. Let's see if we can get that 12 win. I really want to get it today. The Inferno Tower out of cycle means that I can go for a Royal Giant. You guys already know, like, the building out of cycle is probably going to be our best cue to go in for another win condition. Ideally, we go in for a Hog Rider to bait out the building because it's going to be a bit cheaper, and the Hog Rider doesn't do as much damage as a Royal Giant does when there's no building in cycle. So, wow, he ended up having so much elixir there. That's crazy that he was able to defend that so effectively. I don't think that this is going to be a smart decision, but I want a Hog Rider. I don't think I can afford any counter to a Goblin Barrel if he drops it. Fortunately, he didn't. Okay, cool. He's going to try to activate King Tower. Maybe he misses it. Ah, he hits it. Does the Firecracker splash onto the tower as well while it hits the Golden Knight? I think so. I think it's going to give us one little shot. No, nothing? Come on, Clash Royale. All right, so we need to go in for this and then a Giant Snowball on the Goblin Barrel. And we are able to counter most of the Golden Knight. If you guys notice the Goblin Gang placement, we drop it directly behind the Golden Knight. And the reason why I do that is because the Golden Knight only hits one of the goblins if you drop it in that particular placement. It's the best way to counter Golden Knight if you're using any bait cards. Skeletons, goblins, goblin gang. Going to be a really good spot. He's super angry right now. He's like, dude, how did I get this matchup? Honestly, whenever I go to the 12-win Grand Challenge, I usually don't get these good of matchups, so I'm pretty happy here. All right, we can go in for a Firecracker. We can Royal Giant in the back and just slow roll that, and that's not a bad decision. We can go in for a Firecracker on the left-hand side. It will be able to kill that, and it'll also go on the same side as the Royal Giant afterward, hopefully. So we'll see what he's going to be cooking. Goes in for a Dark Goblin. Not super scary for me. We can also Hog Rider in the left-hand lane with the Firecracker, and that's pretty good. Go Bats afterward. I want to split up my stuff so we don't give him too much value with a Royal Delivery. Optimally, that's what happens for us. The Bats might be able to tank for the Royal Giant. Nope, nothing. All right, do we go Goblin Gang last second? I think we do. Let's see what he does. He's not going to be clicking any Golden Knight. Oh, he does click the Golden Knight dash. I was like, he learned his lesson. No, he didn't. He actually still clicked it. Oh, that's hilarious that he still wasted Elixir. My man's out here on a mission to deplete his Elixir bank. All right, we're going to go in for a Firecracker. And then I think we go for Barbarians just to guarantee he doesn't get any skeleton damage on my tower. Because I can't, you know, tell you that the Firecracker is going to guarantee clean up on the skeletons. It never works for me whenever I ask the Firecracker to put in that work. All right, so he's going to go for a Fire Tower. Maybe we can go in for a Giant Snowball here. I believe that the Royal Giant is going to give us a lot of damage. We can also go for a Log on top of his units. I don't think that's a bad decision, but we'll have to wait and see how good it works. We're going for a Goblin Gang here so the Golden Knight doesn't dash. The Hog Rider is coming through. Wow, he has nothing for that Hog Rider right now. He's just eating 1,000,000 damage. I think that's worthwhile for me to do that because it sped up the game a little bit for us. All right, do we go in for Barbarians? Yeah, I think we go Barbarians on the Dark Goblin, and then we Snowball on top of the Skeleton Barrel. I think we're going to be A-okay. Don't think we have to do anything else today. We can go for a Log on top of that, and then we can finish off... hopefully we finish off the tower with the Hog Rider. He's constantly going opposite side, if you guys are noticing. He just doesn't care about defending his towers. He's trying to get me in an inconvenient situation. All right, so the Skeletons are going to take some damage on my tower, but it's okay. We can probably go in for a Royal Giant and a Hog Rider at the exact same time if I'm really feeling it. Oh, did he give up? No, I thought he gave up for a second. I was like, oh, let's go. Yeah, he's going to Fire Tower. So we're trying to get the Fire Tower out of cycle and then immediately go in afterwards with another Hog Rider. So this should win me the game if I played it correctly. Go for a Hog Rider right now. Go for a Giant Snowball. Follow up with a Log. If this Hog gives me one hit, that's all I need, dude. Let's go. We just need to log you, and we walk with the W. So we're going to do that. We're going to go in for Goblin Gang behind, predict the Goblin Barrel, because that's what you have to do. And we will follow through with a dominant dub. So if you guys are ever wanting to get a 12-win Grand Challenge without any champions, this deck was able to accomplish it rather easily for me. I only lost one game with the deck. The very first game that I lost, I gotta show you guys. It was kind of sad. After playing the Super Archer Special Challenge, I accidentally still had a Mimi deck in the Grand Challenge with all spells. And yeah, I couldn't win with that. So my first loss in the Grand Challenge was not with the deck, and it was an absolute mistake. And then when I switched to the deck, the only loss that I had was against a top 200 player with Mother Witch, Fisherman, Tombstone, and also a Skeleton King. So if you play against a top 200 player with that type of matchup, you probably won't win, but every other game was incredibly easy. This deck dominates, and it's really cool that it doesn't have any champions. Now that I think about it, it only has common and rare cards, so no epics and no legendaries beside the Log. And the Log is one of the oldest cards in the game, and it's also a card that can be used at any level. But I guess if you wanted to swap it out, you could use Fireball or Arrows. Now let's get back to the 12-win and unlock some cards. Well, I'm completely maxed out, but I'll let you guys know what I think about the cards. Tombstone, fantastic card with Graveyard, really good with Golem, great with Skeleton King, great building overall. And Fire Tower kind of fell out of the meta, still a decent card. We're going to be using the Goblin Hut a lot in Mega Draft. It is by far one of the highest win rate cards in Mega Draft somehow. And Royal Delivery, super underrated, kills everything with absurd splash damage. Zappies, one of my favorite cards in Clash Royale, with Royal Recruits, packs a punch, especially with other Fireball bait cards. Rocket, that is the biggest loser of the last balance changes. It's terrible now. I wouldn't ever use it over Poison, Fireball, or Lightning. It's just a trash card. Battle Healer only really works with Golem decks or Elixir Golem decks. You guys are like, Golem? Yeah, it works with Golem, with Elixir Collector, and some other finite card combinations, but not too much. Fire Putt works with Graveyard and then also Elixir Golem, not a good card. Three Musketeers, super fun to play. That was one of my main decks as a pro player. And Hog Rider, you know, it's fitting we got him from the challenge because we used them the entire time to climb up to the 12 wins. And Electro Spirit, cool stuff. you know what? I like the card. It's really only good with Royal Giant and cards where you don't really care about activating King Tower. And Firecracker, speaking to the devil, another card that we used. Man, are we just getting all the cards that we used? Pretty cool. Skeleton Army. Great with Skeleton King, but overall, not as good as Guards or Goblins because, you know, you're going to get a little bit more utility for your cost. Skeleton Army generally isn't too safe because it literally dies to every small spell in the game, whereas Guards and Goblins will keep you safe against snowballs and zaps every time. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more daily content, and have an amazing rest of your day.